All right, let's talk about the concept of investing in space, space exploration, going to space, outer space, etc., and why I'm bringing this up now. So I just published a new report recently for the newsletter. You can see it here. And I do think that the melt up, if you will, this broader concept of all of this spending and all these wheels in motion pushing in the same general direction, resulting in a melt up, and assets being the biggest beneficiaries of that. I've talked about that a lot. So, yeah, looking up into the sky, I think it does make sense. In terms of where we're at, this video, I'll talk about a few things. Some recent activity, private sector and public sector involvement, the industry groups that I think will be helpful to analyze this, and then we'll look at a couple of plays. So, why right now? I mean, recently there's been some action in this space. There's been a few stocks that have had some pretty notable moves. This time period here between Thanksgiving and through the holidays, the so-called Santa rally, as the markets tried to kind of accelerate, there actually has been some significant movement from some of the stocks related to this space. So that caught my attention. It's been on my radar throughout the whole year thinking about this. I know SpaceX is looming next year, and that's definitely going to be hyped like there's no tomorrow. But even beyond that, that will bring, attention to this idea, this concept. And SpaceX has a lot of publicity, of course, with Musk and everything, but there are other companies in the ecosystem that are doing well as well and might provide opportunities. So we've got that. I do like how, we have this public sector and private sector, kind of working together on this. From the public sector, the private sector standpoint, AI looking to find, a new home, if you will. AI, our need for power and electricity and the infrastructure to support AI, not only now but moving forward, needs to expand beyond just the typical, land, planet Earth that we're accustomed to. Looking into outer space, okay, that makes sense. I can vibe with that. Obviously, communications, satellites, etc., agriculture, surveillance. There's a million things that are going on where the space, in effect, is used. And then the public sector, with the need to protect oneself and defend oneself and expand your ability to project military power and defend yourself, is naturally, progressing into outer space, and already has. So those two things kind of combining, and that makes it interesting too. So, all right, so where would we look? Let's look at a couple of groups here. I talk about this in the report quickly. Aerospace and defense, and then telecom services, cable satellite. That's what's going to pop up if you're using Investors Business Daily like we do, as where a lot of these stocks I think will land. As I highlight here, just may need to take a good look at that, because those groups are a little bit bloated. I mean, there's a lot of older, more mature companies there, and not all of them are moving in the same direction. So industry groups, and I talk about it here in the report, stocks tend, especially winning stocks, tend to move in groups and then in both directions. So if one group's doing very poorly, it can drag down, the entire group. I think that's just something to keep in mind here. I'm not saying it's the end of the world. I'm saying I think that should be kept in mind. There's not a small, tight little space exploration group of stocks. Even Tesla itself, I know that's a different Musk company, is in the auto manufacturing group. So it may not, benefit as much or be held back conversely because of that. So just consider that. These groups are big and mature. There's a lot of companies in there. They're not all going to be related to some sort of hyper growth space story. That's important. So let's get into a couple here. First, we'll go down to this one here. So I talk a little bit about this company, ASTS. Look, this is mobile, basically mobile broadband. We take a look back here. This thing went public in 2021. Obviously, the market's paying a lot more attention to it now. Easiest way to look at that, in my opinion, is just simply look at volume, trading volume. And these two rectangles here draw that comparison. IBD's got this thing. It's within telecom services, cable satellite. This has a composite rating of 65. It's okay. Group, I talked about the groups, and you can reference that at any point in time in Investors Business Daily. Is okay. kind of middle of the pack. But I think what the market's looking at here is, recently the revenues just exploded here on a smaller scale. But I think it's a signal the market's seeing as, look, this is starting to pick up. You can see relative strength rated 97, and funds are moving in pretty consistently here. And we take a look at the chart. So, this thing's been wild. I'm not in any rush to go out and buy this, today, tomorrow, or, make it a huge play immediately. But I'm definitely curious, keeping an eye on this one. You can see the money flow has been pretty indecisive, I would say, the last several weeks, but volume has been picking up overall. A couple of ugly candles here. It wouldn't shock me if this thing had movement in both directions here in the near and intermediate term, and might be some opportunities that pop up. The other one I thought was interesting, the market's obviously aware of this too, is Planet Labs. I think this one is more interesting to me for a few reasons, but PL is a symbol, and we do the long-term look here. You can see, volume has definitely picked up. Went public in 21, same as the other one. And, kind of bebopping along here, and then we see an explosion in the price action and volume. So, market's in. They're paying attention. They're very much aware of this. Same group, composite ratings rated higher here. And then you see here, we've got more kind of credible operating results, if you will. I mean, there's the other one's growing, but we have free cash flow here and actual earnings. And we see some nice trends here overall with that. Relative strength is 99, so it's obviously been performing very well. Up-down volume is decent. I'd like to see that stronger, and that'll ebb and flow. Accumulation distribution, A-, and the funds are definitely moving in. So we take a look at the chart. It's pretty apparent. Look, so what? You didn't, you weren't the first one in. Who cares? I think what's important here is that, the market is ready to work with this one in a very, very big way, in my opinion. And you've got a company that has already proven itself. They're generating positive free cash flow. They've got some momentum. They've got some stuff cooking here with Google and other things going on, and already a setup here to get the AI stuff up there in inside the satellite. So, to me, seems like something that I would not be shocked if the market paid particular extra attention to this one, and got opportunistic and patient in terms of getting involved if that's something that somebody wants to do. But I would definitely keep an eye on that one, both of them, but in particular PL.